Everybody, thank you for coming. I'm very honored to have Rabbi Zafrani and Rabbi Mansour here for Kerem Ezra, which is a Sephardic shul and a Kolmel serving about 100 Sephardic families in Lakewood. And Rabbi? Okay. Thank you.
ברשות מורי ורבי חכם עזרא שיחיה לאורך ימים, ברשות בעל הבית, קהל קדוש, it is a great privilege of mine to be here tonight to speak words of the Divrei Torah on behalf of a very important institution headed by a very important rabbi. I consider Chacham Ezra one of the most influential rabbis that nurtured and gave us a certain derech and hashkafa and musar for myself and of course for my friends. We were very fortunate that on a weekly basis and a bi-weekly basis, before the rabbi's power and strength became evident to others, we had the rabbi to ourselves, and we understood at the time what we had. The ideology and Hashkafat Torah and as I said, the Musar that we heard from the rabbi in the private setting that we had, I could truly say has nurtured us and shaped us and guided us. And there's not a day, or if I don't want to exaggerate, a week or a month where I don't reflect on one of the teachings of the rabbi. We have notes, books and books that we took notes of all the rabbis, the Divrei Torah, of course. So when the rabbi asked me, or they called me up to come speak, as you know, I'm out of the bake sale business for a couple of years now, because it's very taxing and it's very tiring. But out of Hakarat HaTov to the rabbi, I owe him much more than this little derasha what I'm going to make. We owe him a debt of ruhaniyut. So how could you pay back a debt of ruhaniyut? So at least with a little ruhaniyut of a Divrei Torah, so that's a little payback. Ma'ashiv la'Hashem kol tegmoloi alai. Even though today I was just came back from the West Coast, I was in Los Angeles for one day, and I just landed. I just came back now, and I knew it from the beginning, but still, I didn't want to pass up this opportunity to show my Hakarat HaTov to the rabbi. I understand the rabbi has a kollel, and really the purpose of the night, the Divrei Torah is nice, and to be honest, I'm not going to kid myself. The real purpose of the night is to spend money to support the yeshiva. So what this is really is a gimmick. We shouldn't kid ourselves. So they bring a rabbi that supposedly will draw some people, but this is not the purpose to hear the Divrei Torah tonight, which means you really came here to support Torah. So I'm going to limit my words not to lose the focus. After we'll say the words of the Divrei Torah, everybody really is implored, including myself, to go upstairs and spend money for the institution. It's money well spent. Really, if somebody has maaser or extra money that they want to put to a L'Shem Shamayim institution, what am I cannot vouch, but I know firsthand that Baruch Hashem, it's going to the right place, and it's the right Torah, it's Torah Emet, and it's in the holy city in Lakewood. So what more do you want? In the right place with the right people and the Avrechim, it's a win-win situation. Ashrechem v'ashrei hamkechem. You'll be lucky if you're able to be partners in this very worthy cause. To Shchul HaMitzvot. Actually, I'm a little nervous that the rabbi is sitting here. The rabbi this is. So you guys used to okay, I deserve it. If we could just make one point and maybe come out with one conclusion on a topic that's not spoken about so much. In our parashat Vayeshev Yaakov, we read about the dreams, the halomot, that Yosef HaSaddiq had. As a matter of fact, in the book of Bereshit, we read about 10 different dreams. Whether it was the dream of Avimelech, whether it was the dream of Yaakov Avinu with the ladder, whether it was the dreams of Yosef in this week's Perashah, Paro in next week's Perashah, the Sara Ofim, the Sara Mashkim, the baker, the butler. It seems, whether we like it or not, the Torah does place a certain amount of credence, a certain amount of importance to halomot. That's Torah Shebichtav. In the Torah Sheba'al Peh, in the Talmud, whatever is written in the Gemara, Hachamim chose to discuss things that are integral to life. Things that are not important, the Talmud does not discuss. It only discusses things of the essence. If we look in the 9th Perek in Masechet Berachot, we see that the Hachmei Talmud dedicated 3 pages, all discussing the concept of halomot, of dreams. But not any 3 pages. 3 of the widest pages in Shas, word-wise, very long pages, both longitude and latitude. This tells us that obviously we must give some credence to halomot. If the Hachamim and the Torah give so much real estate on the subject, must be that there is some value to it. Hachamim tell us that sometimes dreams can be a form of prophecy. It's a form of nivu'ah. The famous dream that Nebuchadnezzar had. Nebuchadnezzar woke up from his dream and he called his dream interpreters. You see, in the olden days, that was an industry, a dream interpreter. Every king had a dream interpreter. Today, presidents, they have secretaries and they have advisors and cabinet members. Today, they don't have dream interpreters. But in the olden days, this was considered a standard equipment in a palace. You need a dream interpreter. So he called his dream interpreters and he said, I need a dream interpretation. He said, Bechavod, what's the dream? He said, I forgot the dream. So I need you to tell me the dream first and then tell me what the pshat is in the dream. We never heard such a thing over here. We're not prophets. So Nebuchadnezzar was upset with them and he pardoned them. And he brought in Daniel Ish Hamudot. Daniel was also a prophet. So he brings him in, he tells Daniel, I had a dream but I forgot the dream. He says, no problem, I'll tell you the dream and I'll tell you what the dream means. And he went out to tell Nebuchadnezzar he dreamt of a giant and he had a gold head and his chest and his arms were made out of silver and his legs were made out of nehoshet, out of copper, and his 10 fingers were silver plated over heres, over pottery, and the giant was walking and somebody threw a little pebble at the giant and the giant fell back and the pebble got bigger and bigger until it overcame the giant. So he tells Nebuchadnezzar, does this sound familiar? He says, exactly, this was the dream that I had. He says, now I'm going to give you the interpretation. He says, you dreamt a dream that's going to span for over 2,000 years maybe. You dreamt of all the exiles that the Jewish people are going to endure. The head of gold, that's you, Nebuchadnezzar. Because you are the king of the world, you rule with an iron fist, you're molech, like the Gemara says, b'kippah, with great strength, and therefore you're the gold. After you, you're going to be taken over by Parasu Madai. That represents the 2 hands of silver. They're not going to be as strong as you. And then after Parasu Madai, the legs represent Malchut Yavan. That's Alexander Mokedon, Alexander of Macedonia. And then the 10 fingers and the legs, the feet represent Malchut Romi, that's the Roman Galut, that's the 4th and final exile, which we're still in now. And he went to explain to him what the Hairis is. The Hairis represents the Galut that's going to be within the Galut of Romi, which is, we might say today, is the Muslims, which came after the Romans. And there's going to be an alliance with the Romans and the Muslims, etc. The whole perush of the dream. So what's the pebble? The pebble represents the Mashiach. When Mashiach comes, he's going to hit the giant, and it's going to knock down the giant. The pebble's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. The Gavad Yisrael and Am Yisrael is going to be on top and subjugate all the enemies. So you see, albeit not only was this a dream, this was a prophetic vision that is still unfolding until our times. So we must delve tonight, is there any credence to dreams or not? There was a great psychologist, great meaning not on our standards of great, but the world calls him great. I don't know how great he was, but they called him Dr. Freud. Sigmund Freud, he was Jewish. Freud discussed dreams on one level. He said dreams are from the subconscious of a person. Many times when a person is fearing in his life, or things that he's wishing and hoping for, or different problems that he's too overwhelmed to think about during the day, so the brain pushes them to the back. Maybe he doesn't want to confront them because it's too difficult for him to deal with these problems, so he just automatically, the brain has a certain mechanism that it just pushes all the problems to the back of the brain. And then at night, when a person's sleeping, a lot of these fears from the subconscious come into the conscious brain, and somehow in the dream they become resolved to a certain sense. It means as if it releases them. Because when they're clogged up in the subconscious, it can cause a person a lot of stress. He doesn't even know where the stress is coming from. But when the body releases them to the conscious level when he's sleeping, so it's a toilet, he said. And according to him, if you ask a person what his dream is, you can tell a lot about what he is. What his hopes are, what his inner desires are, what his apprehensions are, what his worries are. He said that dreams can tell a lot about who a person is. This is what Freud said. So they asked him, and what about dreams that are like prophetic, that you could see something of a futuristic event? So Freud answered that question very arrogantly. Don't ask me silly questions. Basically, he said, don't waste my time. Shtuyot v'avadim, he said. He says, there's no credence at all. Fine. There have been studies that have been done by irreligious people that do not want to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and are looking to deny HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but in their studies they were forced to come to the conclusion, based on different surveys that they took and different as they're analyzing, and they were forced, they were forced to admit that there is something to this supernatural realm sometimes in Halomot. For example, a doctor in Israel by the name of Dr. Bezek, not religious, from one of the colleges there, he did a study, many cases that he documents. One case was of a mother that dreamt, and she saw her son climbing on one of the rocky areas in England, and he was with a friend, and she saw the friend vividly in the dream, and she sees her son climbing, and the son falls, he slips, and he was niftar in the dream. She went to the friend and said, "What's your name?" In the dream, the fellow says, "My name is Henry Irving." Okay. And she wakes up. She got nervous. She saw such a dream. She calls her other son to ask, "How's so-and-so doing?" "No, he's okay." "Why? What's the matter?" "I dreamt, he's in Manchester on business." "No, but I dreamt that he was on the rocks." "No, pay no attention. It's nothing. Don't pay attention to dreams." "Okay, fine." 2 days later, they get a call to the mother, and they say, "Your son was in Manchester on business. He left 2 days early to go on a hiking expedition, and in such and such a place he was on the rocks, and he fell on the rocks. Come immediately." And sure enough, she goes to the place, the exact same scenario that she saw in the dream, and sure enough, the friend of the guy's there, and she sees him. She says, "By any chance, is your name Henry Irving?" He says, "No, my name is Henry so-and-so." "But why would you say that I'm Henry Irving?" He says, "This is what I thought." She says, "Because my friends nicknamed me Henry Irving because that's a famous English movie star. They say I look like him, so they call me Henry Irving. It's strange that you should know such a fact." So this is what I saw in my dream. Now there's many omdot like this of people that have these premonitions or visions. There was a lady in Israel, a lady that writes for the newspaper. Again, Hilonit. And people that are not looking to admit to these things, people that were looking to deny. She had a dream, she saw in her dream 10 rabbis. Some would say that's a nightmare. In any event, the 10 rabbis came to her in a dream. Some say that's a dream because she can never get 10 rabbis to come together. So the 10 rabbis came to her and they said, your child in sakana, your child's in sakana. She woke up, she ran into the bedroom where the child was, and the child was in a heating blanket, and the blanket caught on fire, and she right away put out the fire. She went to the Hakamim said, this is Borei Olam coming to you to make the Shuvah, it's giving you inspiration, and so on and so forth. The Kakare, she made the Shuvah. Hakamim talk about the possibility of sometimes a niftar can come to somebody in a dream, somebody that passed away. And Hakamim talk about it at length. Sometimes the niftar comes dressed very nice. That's a siman that he's happy with the family is doing, that they're praying, they're reading the Tehillim, they're saying the Kaddish. This is a good siman. Sometimes the niftar comes and he looks bitzar, he looks anguished. That's a siman to the family that they're not doing enough. They're not elevating him. There was one girl in Israel, she said she had a dream that her grandmother came, and in the dream she was wearing tattered clothes, she didn't look good. So the girl said in the dream, Grandma, what's the matter with you? What are you wearing these clothes for? And she took them off, and underneath was a beautiful dress. She went to one of the Hakamim. So one of the Hakamim told her, did you do anything for your grandmother recently? She said, well, it was a yortzeit, we're not so religious, so I got a couple of girls together, we read Tehillim for her. So your grandmother was telling you that until then she was in ripped clothes, but you caused the ripped clothes to come off and you exposed the beautiful clothes, which means she was giving you a way of thanks that you elevated her neshama. Again, these are stories. You could believe them, you could not believe them. There's no way I could prove them that they ever happened or not. I could just tell you what I'm reading in the books. I could tell you one story that happened with myself. I'm only telling you the story only because I know it firsthand. Only if it'll make a bigger impression on you. So I'll tell you the story. One of the synagogues in the community, a few years back, asked me to give shiurim between Pesach and Shavuot at Pirkei Avot. Every week, pick another Mishnah and be Doresh. That's fine, it's my pleasure. And they said, for this job, we'll pay you, for example, $1,000 a Mashah. And it's fine, I was masking. So I came the first week, second week, third week, we did for the whole Sefirah, Yemei Sefirah. At the end, they came to us, okay, Chacham, we made a deal with you, we'll pay you this. P.S. the summer came and went, and they never got back to me with the compensation, and I had forgot about it. Then when I came back, I remembered it, and I made a phone call, and they said, no, we didn't get to it, we just came back from the summer as well. So, B'kitzur, it went on for a couple of months like this, they didn't call me back, I called them. After a while, I got the hint that maybe they're not planning on paying me so fast. So in my mind, that was me. I said, okay, this is the shiurim we gave already. Kaparat avonot, maaser. So I was in the synagogue, and one of the older fellows in the synagogue sees me and says, "Whatever happened? Did they ever pay you from these classes?" I said, "Nah, the truth of the matter is they didn't, but it's okay. I'm mohail already." He said, "What do you mean you're mohail? I can't believe they didn't pay you. How come you didn't come to me?" I said, "Why should I come to you? What do you have to do with it?" He said, "I'm on the committee of that shul over there. You should have came to me. I would have settled it right away." He says, "I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed." I said, "It's not you. You didn't hire me. Somebody else did it. It's okay. Finish. Don't talk about it anymore." He said, "How much do they owe you?" I said, "I finished already." I said, "You pushed it. 1,000. 1,000? Out of his pocket." He takes the guy. He counts. He has $500 in his pocket. Here's $500. I said, "I'm not taking it from you." No way. I'm not paying you. I'm going to go to the committee tonight. I'm going to take it from the committee. Because at least I want to. Okay. He said, "I'm responsible. I'll get you the other $500. Okay. A few months later, that fellow passed away. He passed away. Everybody at the funeral was crying. I'm also crying. They say, "Why are you crying?" He said, "That's about my $500. So what happened? A few weeks later, Chacham Abraham Za'afrani alav shalom. We were together in the synagogue. It was a Sadiq Chacham Abraham. On Sunday morning he came to me and said, Chacham Abraham, can I talk to you in your office? Chacham Abraham, of course. So whatever you want. He comes to the office, he takes an envelope out of his pocket, he puts it on the table and says, open it. I open it, I take out the $500 bills. Chacham Abraham, what is this? He said, the shul owed you this money, yes? I said, yeah, but Chacham, nobody knows this. There's only one man in the world that knows that they owed me this money. He says, I know the man. This is his name, correct? I said, yes. Chacham, how do you know? He said, Friday night he came in a dream to Mrs. So-and-so, and he said, I gave my word to Chacham Eliyahu to give him the $500, and I wasn't able to do it. Make sure Sunday morning you go and pay him. She woke up, she's Friday night, maybe from the Kibbutz Hamdah, she had this dream or something. She went back to sleep, and what happened? She had the dream again. She woke up, he came in a dream, I gave my word. She woke up, her husband's on the board. Is this true? He investigated. Sure enough, they found out the story. So he went to Chacham Abraham, he gave the envelope, go give this. So, to say that it cannot happen, this is a story that I know firsthand, that no one can tell me it didn't happen. I know this happened, it happens with myself. So, on this subject, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Notzat of the Ramchal, he discusses a little of the concept of what happens when a person goes to sleep. Just to keep everything simple, so we can have a little understanding, he said the following. A person has a neshama. The essence of ourselves is our neshama. The physical body is domem, it's inanimate. There's no difference between our physical body and this table. This table is lifeless. The life of our body, of our existence, is the neshama. That's what gives us vision, that's what gives us hearing, that's what gives us speech, of course. So at night, most of the parts of the neshama leave us. The Ramchal says only one component of the neshama, called the nefesh, it remains in us. The nefesh is a minor part of the neshama in the sense that even animals have a nefesh. It's just enough spirituality to keep us alive when we sleep, but the rest of for example, the ruach, the neshama, the other parts of the neshama go up. That's why before we go to sleep we say, B'yadecha afkid ruhi. Because from the ruach on, those components go up, and the nefesh stays down. Again, just to give him enough to exist. The Mefarshim say, when a person goes to sleep, he feels tired. Who's tired? It can't be the physical, because the physical body is a domain. Can this table ever get tired? And let's say you pick up the table up and down, and you turn it over, and you run away. The table can never get tired. The physical doesn't get tired. It's the neshama that creates a feeling of tiredness, because it needs to go up for certain, we'll call them adjustments. And Ramchal said that when the neshama goes up at night, it goes back to the Kisei HaKavod where it was hewn from, and there's certain kedusha and or that's infused into the neshama. It's almost as if you're charging it. It's like a person charges his phone before he goes to sleep. So the neshama also needs to be recharged from time to time with spiritual upgrades, however you want to call it. And after the upgrades are done, the neshama comes back down. Now these upgrades cannot be done when we're awake, because when we're awake it seems it's too much voltage going through our body, we wouldn't be able to handle it. And therefore we have to be asleep when this is happening. So it comes out, according to Ramchal, that sleeping is actually a religious ceremony. Until now you thought that maybe sleeping is considered passive, which means you're wasting time. Go to sleep. This is, we didn't have to go to sleep. What's the purpose? What do you have to waste 1/3 of your life sleeping? But according to them, I say no, by no means. That when a person is going to sleep, there's things that are happening to his neshama that are beyond our understanding, and we're better off when we wake up in the morning. The neshama now has more kedusha or more ability. I want you to pay attention that the Sefer Hasidim writes that, listen to an interesting Sefer Hasidim. He says that the Avot, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, they lived together simultaneously for 15 years. There was a 15-year overlap that Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov put together. And he says, I have a tradition that during those 15 years, they studied together 15 hours of Torah a day. Imagine that, you walk into the bed with the Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov learning together. For 15 years, 15 hours a day. It's unbelievable. Lo yu'man yisupar. Imagine the Torah of the Avot learning the Torah together. So Rav Chidau has a Pirush on Sefer Hasidim. He brings down Matzati b'Ktav Yad. He says, I have a Ktav Yad, a manuscript from the Rabbi Yehuda Hasid. And in the manuscript he says that the Avot learned 24 hours a day. So here it says 24 hours, but in the Sefer it says they learned 15 hours. So Rav Chidau says, I'm forced to say that when the Sefer Hasidim says they learned 15 hours, that's when they were awake. But the 24 hours means even when they were sleeping, they were learning Torah also in their sleep. So you see, it's possible that a person, even when he's sleeping, his neshama is able to go up and study Torah. There were sefarim that were written by rabbis of the Vrei Torah that they had when they were sleeping. On Tuesday night, Bahalomi, on this subject, I went to sleep with a question in my mind, and they gave me the answer. Chamizah Pi Alav Shalom. The Rosh Yeshiva Purat Yosef, Rav Banan, the rabbi of rabbis. He once came into shiur one day, and he gave the shiur, and he said a very deep explanation in a Maharsha. That's just one of the commentaries. So he says, and how do I know this interpretation? He says, because I went to sleep with this question, and the Maharsha came to me in a dream, and he taught it to me. So these were the great tzaddikim that even in their sleeping, they were able to still be connected to tzaddikim. I saw a certain sefer, and don't try this at home, this is not for, for doing it, but he brings down, if a person wants to see a certain tzaddik in his dream, read this chapter of the Tehillim, have this certain kavanah, he gives you the recipe. Not the rabbi from 1,000 years ago, one of the rabbis is still alive today, writes in the sefer. Yadua Mufurzam, Sigudah, if a person wants to, he has a question to ask a certain tzaddik. So he says, say the Shem, have this kavanah, he says, and maybe you'll be zocher. And even if you're not zocher, he says, you won't know it because could be he came to you and you forgot. So there's kohot, but you shouldn't think that time when we go to sleep, it's like it's a waste of time. It's a ceremony. There's things that are taking place. So Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto then writes that most of the dreams are from the subconscious. Chazak Baruch. What Freud said 100 years ago, Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto already said hundreds of years before. We didn't need Freud to come and tell us what already our Hakamim knew from the Chokhmah of the Torah. But then he said also, there's a famous Maaseh of Shemuel. Shemuel was the rabbi, so there was a king called Shvur Malka. Shvur Malka came to Shemuel and said, tell me what I'm going to dream tonight. That's the opposite of Nebuchadnezzar. Tell me what I'm going to dream tonight. He didn't dream yet, he didn't go to sleep yet. So Shemuel said, I'll tell you. He says, I'll tell you what you're going to dream. You're going to dream that the Romans are going to take you into captivity, and they're going to tie you to a Rehayim, Shazav, a millstone made out of gold, and they're going to make you grind the pits of the dates. Sure enough, for the rest of the day, what do you think Shvur Malka is thinking about? He put it in his brain. That night, he has the dream. He comes the next morning, Shemuel says, what did you dream? It's exactly like you told me. I was connected to the Rehayim Shazav. But Shemuel a Navi wasn't a Navi. But what? He knew the secret that sometimes when a person thinks about during the day, he programmed it in his brain. He couldn't get it out of his mind, so it came out at night. So the Maaseh, that's most of the dreams are like that. Even let's say there's certain dreams that Hakamim talk about that one should be concerned about them. But always the rabbi asks the first question, were you thinking about this subject? The person dreams something about his teeth, whatever it is. It's not important. So then, did you go to the dentist today? Yes. So that's it. Don't pay attention. You're thinking about your teeth. Or you had a toothache, or you told your children before they go to sleep, don't forget to brush your teeth. something was that the teeth came out, so you don't have to pay attention so much. Which means there is a certain understanding that what a person thinks about, what a person is talking about, can come out. But that being said, the Ramchal does talk about that there's kohot sometimes that are kohot ruhanim. Again, the neshamas is leaving the body, it's coming in contact with malachim, with spiritual forces, it's going up to the Shekhinah, so therefore it's possible for it to communicate back down to the body things from the outer world. Specifically, he writes halamot that are at the end of the night, because the halamot that are at the beginning of the night are usually from the things you were thinking about during the day, but at the end of the night, where the mind is clear more, so already they're more accurate, let's say. Now, there's a very important cloud that Rabbi Yehuda Fataya Alav Shalom says. He says no dream should scare a person. I heard from Achab Avadia many times where he says that that's the Atzab the Yetzer Hara. Where a person has a bad dream, he gets nervous, he gets scared, and now he can't function the next day, he doesn't pray with kavanah, he can't learn. This is Atzab the Yetzer Hara. He wants to make you mibulbal, he wants to confuse you. So Rabbi Bataya writes, even if a person has a dream, let's say, where the Hachamim give a concern to it, he says, God's doing you a hesed. Because he didn't have to tip you off, but he's giving you inside information. Listen, this is what's going on with you over here. Do something. So the next day, give tzedakah, ustakat tzimim mabit, finished. You finished the dream. Or go study more Torah. Kiem chayen v'orich yamenu. Etz chayim inam azikim ba. Which is the dream, he says, is an inspiration or an encouragement from Shamayim to do something. So as long as you do something positive and you're learning and you give, then already that's what they wanted from you. So a dream is not supposed to slow you down or weaken you. Adrabah, it's supposed to ma'azik. This Gemara says in Berachot, and the Zohar says it also. A person should always tell his dreams to somebody that loves him. Because a lot of the dream interpretation goes according to the pit, to what it said. And the Zohar says if you go to your enemy and he gives you a bad interpretation, you cause it to yourself. Now not only that, you have to go to somebody, not only who's your friend who likes you, but somebody who's a hakam. You can go to your friend, you can tell him, my teeth fell out. They'll tell you, oh, go write a tzabah, go write a will. He's not a smart guy now. You have to go to a hakam who knows exactly, give tzedakah, do something positive, and finish, not to make the guy not to make him scared. For example, the Gemara tells the story of Bar Kapara. Bar Kapara had a dream. He dreamt his nose fell off in the dream. So he went to the Benu HaKadosh. Now would you say that's a good dream or a bad dream? His nose fell, you need your nose. So the Benu HaKadosh says, it's a good siman. Haron af nistalek mimcha. The af is a nose, but af in Hebrew also is anger. The anger fell away from you. The people that were angry with you, they're not angry anymore. This is beracha. The next line he came, he says he dreamt that Menan, his hands fell off. Rabbi said to him, Lo tetzarek lema'aseh yadecha. You're not going to have to work anymore. You're not going to need to use your hands anymore. You can have a windfall profit. You can have beracha. The next time he came, he said he dreamt his legs fell off. He says you're not going to have to walk anymore. They're going to carry you. They're going to put you in a car, in a carriage. They're going to bring you like a king. So you see, there's no. Sometimes the more scary the dream, according to the interpretation, could be it's a positive interpretation. The Gemara says, for example, somebody sees an elephant in a dream. Miracles are going to happen because the word pil is like pilaot. It's a similar. A person sees a chicken in his dream. That's a siman he's going to have ben zachar. He'll have a baby boy. A person sees an egg in the dream. Then the Gemara says, Bakashatot teluya. His request in Shamayim that he asked is pending. Like the chicken, like the egg. It didn't come out yet. His question is the egg going to come out or not? If he sees the egg breaks, already you should know that they answered you. Whatever they answered you. The Gemara says if a person sees a nahash in a dream, a snake, you would say snake is scary. The Gemara says no, a snake, just like the snake his food is readily available to him, so too he can have parnasah. But some say no, but the nahash is the Yetzer Hara, that they're giving you musar from the Shamayim, make the shuvah, there's a certain avonot that you're nichshav. But again, we don't know the interpretations. You have to go to the, if there's a certain dream that you have a certain feeling that it's not from the subconscious and it has a certain meaning to it, then already we go to the great Hakamim. But many people go to the Hakamim, they say their children have nightmares. How could they do something for their children they shouldn't have nightmares? So the different things, one Hakam will say, make sure they make it to that Yadayim in the morning. Others say, make sure you say Kiryat Shema with them before they go to sleep. Others say, take the Aravot from the Lulav or from the Hibut Aravot, put it on top of the doorpost where the child sleeps. It keeps away the Mazikim. But I think there's a much easier interpretation why many children have nightmares. The first question you have to ask the parent, do you let your children watch television? Do you let your children watch movies? If the answer is yes, then it's clear why the children have nightmares. Because there's so much violence and there's so much scary things today in the movies and on the television, besides all the other isurim. I'm talking about specifically the violence. How can a child not become scared? All these ideas are going to his brain, especially if he's watching these things before he goes to sleep, or any time in the day, it's in his brain. And therefore, what a disservice parents are doing to their children by allowing them to watch TV and go to the movies and all these things. It's causing the children to become scared. They did a study recently. Adults had a movie, and it was a violent movie. So they put monitors on the adult's pulse rate and the heart rate. As the movie became more dramatic, they noticed that the heart rate of the adult started to beat faster, and the pulse started to rise. So they stopped and they told the adult, "Do you know that this is only a movie?" "Yes." "Do you know this is fake?" "Yes." "You know this never happened?" "Yes." "You know these are actors?" "Yes." "So what are you scared for?" "I don't know. It looks real." If an adult gets scared and he knows that it's fake and he knows it's shaken, could you imagine a child that's much more impressionable? Certainly he's going to take these things for real. Even more so. They did a study, what is more damaging to the child? A movie of real people or cartoons that are violent? And to our shock, they said that the cartoons that are violent are not just as damaging but worse. Why? Because they said the child relates to the cartoon more than he does to the real humans, because he's immature also like the cartoon character. He has a certain connection to it. So therefore, to him, this is more real than human beings. He's like a cartoon himself. So therefore, it affects him more. So that's the real answer. When parents come along and say their children have nightmares, it comes from the television. It comes from the movies. Or it might come from the books that you read them before they go to sleep. One night, when I came home a little early, so my wife said, "Go read the children a story before they go to sleep." So I looked on the shelf of the different fairy tales that they have in the books that we have in the shelf there. So I saw a book called The Lion King. At the time, it was a very popular book. It was a play, etc. I never read it before, but I heard everybody talk. I said, "You know what? I'm going to read it now. Read it for myself or read it for the kids." We'll both benefit. So I started reading the book. In the middle of the book, as I'm reading it, I'm crying from the book. It's about a father that was murdered, and now there's Yetomim, and there's Al-Manor, and my children are also crying. And I said to myself, who thought of this? This is supposed to be for children. All violence and scare, and now you wonder why the children has a nightmare. You read them the scary book that's scary for adults, and you put these ideas in their brains before they go to sleep, and you wonder how come the child is waking up in the middle of the night crying and things like this. Has to be very careful. I saw Rav Shimshon Pincus brings down in one of his Sefarim Alav Shalom. He talks about how when he was young, when they were young, they read Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Could there be anything more more Goldilocks and the Three Bears? Well, it's such a easy It's innocuous. It's nothing. She went, she was hungry, she went into the house, she saw three bowls, this was too hot, this was too cold, this was just right, this was nothing. But he says if you analyze the depth of the story, she committed a crime. She's hungry, so she broke into somebody's house. This is Gezer, Geneva. This is you can go to jail for this place. Somebody's hungry today, you break in somebody's door, and she's eating soup that doesn't belong to her. They're also Gezer. And then what? What is the child learning? First of all, if you need something badly, you steal for it. Number two, the child wakes up the next day, and the mother puts the Rice Krispies on the table. What does the child say? No, not too much milk. Too hot, too cold. Where did you learn this from? The Goldilocks. Which is you're teaching the child what? You're spoiling the child. It has to be perfect. Now the child lies down. If the bed is not 100% perfect, and the pillow's not perfect, you're teaching the child has to be just right. And then he goes further. And he makes a very, very important point. Insightful point, I should say. The name of the book is Goldilocks. Why is it called Goldilocks? Because it was a girl, and she had blonde curls. Gold curls. So he says, we're teaching our children that how do you define a person? By what they look like. According to their superficial image. That's how we judge people. The name of the Goldilocks, because she has gold curls. That's how we judge people. We judge people what the inside is, what their midot are. So look at this in one simple fairy tale. Look at all the bad lessons that we taught our children. Geneva, we taught them pinooks, being spoiled, and we taught them shitzchiyut, meaning superficial judgment. And that's your reading to them before they go to sleep. What a benefit would it be if a parent would take the Midrash says and read a story from the Midrash, and the child would fall asleep with Divrei Torah, with Hazal, or a story from the Nevi'im, maybe the stories of Shofetim, or the book of Yehoshua, or Melachim, all the interesting stories over there. And even though some of those stories are also a little violent, but the children don't get scared from those type of stories in the Torah. When you read about David and Goliath, since it's Ruhaniyut, since it's Kodesh, those stories that the Shema knows how to process them. That the Shema doesn't get scared from these type of things. How beneficial would it be that our children fall asleep? Hacham Baruch Alav Shalom used to tell us in the yeshiva that his mother used to say the Shema with him before he used to go to sleep, and then at the end would repeat Torah Sivana Moshe Morashak Yilat Yaakov, and then he would say it again, Torah Sivana Moshe, and she would make him repeat Torah Sivana Moshe until he fell asleep. Until he fell asleep with the Divrei Torah in his mouth. Instead of counting sheep like the Goyim do and all other things in order to go to sleep, they fell asleep with the Divrei Torah. What a value, what a benefit. So this is just some concepts. What's the halakha l'maaseh that comes out of the class? Halakha l'maaseh that comes out of the class is one concept that unfortunately is neglected by many. Even though it's Dinah the Gemara, it's written in the Gemara. It doesn't come from Sefer HaSigulot, what I'm going to tell you now. It's written in the Gemara, Rambam brings it down, it's written in the Shulchan Aruch. And that is Kiryat Shema L'Amita. The halakha says that before a person retires at night, he must recite the parashiot of Kiryat Shema L'Amita. This is not a nice thing, or a hidur, or a humrah. This is a halakha. And he's supposed to say Barakah, Baruch HaMapil. The minhag is not to say it with Shivu Malchut, but you have to say the Barakah nonetheless. And different Pesukim, including Yosef Beseter, Anna Bechawa, whatever's written in the Sidurim. You all know it. The introductory Pesukim of Harid Muhammad Besoleh, etc. So the Gemara says, what's the value of Kiryat Shema L'Amita? The Gemara says, whoever says Kiryat Shema L'Amita, it's as if he's holding Herev Shoshtepiyot. He's holding a double-edged sword in his hand. And what is he doing with this double-edged sword? The Gemara says he's killing, he's destroying all the mazikim that are next to his bed. This is not from the Zohar. This sounds like a piece of Zohar. Mazikim, all this. The Gemara says this. Berachot. Where do these mazikim come from? I don't know. Maybe from the Averot. Maybe when he goes to sleep at night, they come out. And the only way to kill these negative forces of Tum'ah is to Kiryat Shema L'Amita. Yipol v'sidecha elef u'rbaba miminecha alecha lo yigash. Now, if they're telling you it's like a double-edged sword, that means you're not killing the mosquitoes. You don't need a double-edged sword to kill a mosquito. Or an ant. If it's a double-edged sword, must be the mazikim significant. So who would be so confident that they can go to sleep? The Gemara says you need to do this. And I don't have to, I'm not worried. What are you not worried? The Gemara is worried. Nachamim are worried about this over here. And therefore, the Gemara says another statement. This is a strong statement. The Gemara says, do not sit on the bed of a goy. Or a goya for that matter. So the Gemara, what does this mean? Do not sit on the bed of a goya? So the Gemara says, one interpretation, kedra papa. What's the story of Papa? One day a lady owed the Papa money. So he went to get his money. So the lady says, okay, I'm going to get the money, just sit over here, sit on the bed. So the Papa was concerned, why is she saying to sit on the bed? Sure enough, he found out that she put a dead baby under the bed, and she wanted the Papa to sit on the bed, and therefore she was going to frame him. Oh, you see, you killed the baby. So the Gemara says, be careful, do not sit on the bed, because the Goyim, they have their plots, they're trying to frame maybe. That's one interpretation. The Gemara gives another interpretation which is shocking. Don't sit on the bed of a Goy or a Goya. Don't go to sleep without saying Kiryat Shema. What's one thing have to do with the other? Don't sit on the bed of a Goy. Say Kiryat Shema before you go to sleep. So the explanation, with your permission, which is a little strong, but this is what the Gemara must be saying, that when a person goes to sleep on a bed without Kiryat Shema, this is considered the bed of a Goy. That's the way a Goy goes to sleep. And if you want your sleeping to be sleeping like a Jew, you must say Kiryat Shema B'mitah. And if you don't say this is, so 1/3 of your life is possible, like a Goy. That's already a strong statement. The halakha says, in the morning you have to yitkaber ka'ari, l'avodat baro, you have to wake up like a lion. So there's a whole halakha telling us how you have to wake up like a Jew. But you also have to know how to go to sleep like a Jew. You can't go to sleep like a hamor and expect to wake up like an ari. You have to go to sleep like a lion in order to wake up like a lion. And therefore the way we prepare before we go to sleep is with Kiryat Shema B'mitah. The benefit is great and the investment is small. Many of you are businessmen. In business you always analyze what's the effort and what's the reward. If I can make a small investment and get a big reward, sounds good. It's calculated risk. Somebody will tell you, put sassit on, and you get a mitzvah deoraita every second, a whole pair of sassit. What's the risk? Very small risk. What's the effort? You don't even have to know about it. You just put it under your shirt, just wear it all day long. Every second you get a mitzvah. So a person has to be foolish for such an easy effort, for such a great return. Kiryat Shema is the same thing. The 5-6 minutes that it takes to say it, but look at the value, look at the toilet. And then when the halakha l'maaseh that comes out of the shi'ur, to say the Kiryat Shema, everyone should go to the store, they sell the cards. They have them, you can put it next to your bed. The ladies as well should say the Kiryat Shema B'mitah. The Kafayim says the ladies should say it also. You take the card, you put it next to your bed. It takes 5 minutes right before you're about to sleep, you read it. It'll benefit your neshama, it'll benefit, like we said, the mazikim, to destroy them. It'll bring kedusha and ta'ara to a person. A person will go to sleep betoch machshavot tovot, good ideas of Torah. And then his neshama can come back up and come back down the next day. Do not underestimate the value of this. I'll tell you just one more story. The Inyan of Halamot, and we'll go upstairs, maybe we'll sell this picture over here. A lady came to Rabbi Yehuda Fetaya, Halam Shalom. So the lady says, she had a dream she's concerned about. What's the dream? My husband went to the cemetery and dug up his uncle and brought him to the house. So in my dream I told my husband, what are you doing over there? Put him back. What are we live in a cemetery? No, he's staying here. So I got into a fight with him. I get him out. So he went into the backyard. He took him and he walked up some steps to the roof and he put him on the roof but he ended up in the house again. We couldn't get rid of him. So Yehuda Fataya says in the back there's 9 steps going to the roof? She said, I don't know, 9 steps. He said, no, I think it's more than 9 steps. It's more about 12, 13 steps. He says, no, it's 9 steps. But go home, just double check and come back. She comes back, 9 steps. You're right, Hakam. He says, B'Siman Tov, you're expecting you're going to have a baby, Be'ezat Hashem. So what are you talking about? He says, yeah, the 9 steps, I know there's 9 steps, that's the 9 months. You're going to have a baby, and the baby is the Gilgul of this uncle who died young. So you'll name him after the baby, and that's the siman that they brought the baby, the uncle back to the house to say that he's coming back to the house, and he's not going to leave the house. That means he's going to live a long life. You have nothing to worry about. Sure enough, 9 months later, she gave birth to a baby boy. And that I think was a sadak. They named it after the. So you see again, to come along and say everything is alamot hashavi daberu, everything is from our tradition, even from the modern hakamim. Again, they didn't let the dreams overtake them. A dream was only a motivation to do something positive, like I said, mitzvot, Torah, tzedakah, tefillah. That's the result of what a person is supposed to do. More than that, he goes to his local rabbi, who's obviously expert in these things. They can get the deeper etzot. But the lesson that we learn from this halakha l'maaseh really is the kiryat shema amitam. Be'ezat Hashem, if we go to sleep in the right way, like David HaMelech says, eshkeva ve'isham. That means when I go to sleep, when I put my head down, I fall asleep. Ki ata Hashem lebadad labetach toshiveni. The person goes to sleep with bitachon and faith. Borei Olam will protect him not only when he's sleeping, but he wakes up Be'ezat Hashem. He'll have pleasant dreams, and Be'ezat Hashem will have aliyah ruhani not only when he's awake. When he's sleeping also, the spiritual upgrades that the Neshama will benefit him in the day as well. And this is the little subject, just food for thought on the subject of Halamot.